All right, sorry, buddy.
No worries.
I'm an unprofessional.
Thank God.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
Have we started?
That's sort of, but not really, though. No, I'll do an intro to it, but I just wondered how long.
I've always been telling stories,
Okay.
but I've been doing stand-up since about 95.
Where you been and where you going? This is Ari's travel show, yeah. We're gonna talk about travel today. It's You Be Trippin, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to You Be Trippin. It's the only podcast on the internet that's had a bidding war for it, from Wawa to Buc-ee's. Every week we go to a different place in the world, and from a guest who's been there. And today it's fucking the legend, Tommy goddamn Tiernan. Bro, I'm so excited you came in today.
That's my confirmation name. Goddamn.
He's doing a fucking. Sorry, I'm cursing too much already. He's doing a U.S. tour, and you gotta see him. He's hilarious.
So I'm looking at the map
Yeah.
here behind us, and we've got Africa, but I lived in Zambia when I was a kid.
That's where you're born. That's where
When I
people
was
are from?
born up there in Donegal in Ireland, and then we moved down to Zambia, which is there just above, between. See where
Tanzania?
Angola is?
No.
So Angola, so Tanzania.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, that town there, Kabwe,
Yeah.
K-A-B. That's where we lived.
Why?
And my dad was working with farmers. So the Irish government and the Zambian government must have had some sort of a deal where people who knew about farming would travel over to Africa, and I don't know what they got in return, copper or something.
Yeah.
And yes, we lived there. So the trip I'm going to tell you about is the one to Somalia, which happened a year and a half ago.
These countries, by the way, are so weird to me. Central Republic, Chad, the landlocked, like inside the continent with no ocean on them.
It's and you know there's
Those are the most uprising.
even to refer to Africa as a single place is kind of a travesty, because there's people, African people, or say black people, talk about racism towards Africans.
Yeah.
But when you're there, they're racist towards people from other parts of the continent.
Right, which is nice.
So
It's
when I was in Somalia,
Yeah.
and Somalia, their skin is it's the colour of coffee. And they're so beautiful. I think David Bowie's wife might have been
Yeah.
it's just a beautiful. So they have a story about how when God was making people, he put them into the oven. And the first time he put them in the oven, he didn't cook them long enough, and they came out as Egyptians. And then,
I like that.
right? And then he tried again. He put them into the oven. He left them in too long, and they came out as Nigerians. so then the third time, he got it just right, and they come out as Somali people.
Wow.
So, so it was an amazing.
I mean,
Amazing.
when was this? How old were you when you went there?
When I went to Africa, I was 3.
Okay.
To Zambia when I was 3
Okay.
years of age, and I stayed there for 3 years. I don't remember a fierce amount about it. I was talking to another woman who'd spent her childhood in South Africa, and I was saying to her, every time I see the African sky on television, it triggers something in me where I just the expanse of it, or the type of blue that it is, or the kind of the textural thing of African clouds, it does something to me. And she says that's because in Africa the sky is mother. So that kind of, we're imaginative beings, and we can't help but exist
Yeah.
imaginatively. So someone hands you a story like that and says the sky is your mother. Okay, that's going to affect you for an hour or two.
Yeah.
I don't know if in New York you can even see your mother.
No, we can't even see stars. There's too much butt sex going on here. God won't let us see it.
Yeah. So, but Somalia was about 18 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
By the way, this reminded me when you said the way people describe Africa. There's an article by I think a Kenyan writer, and it's how to write Africa, and it's just making fun of how everybody writes about Africa.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
It is one country. It is not many countries. The elephant is pure. Poachers are the evil.
Yeah.
There's always a fat jovial mother who wants you to eat.
Sure.
Yeah.
Eat up your food now.
Yeah. And I gotta find who that is. I'll say it in the outro. But Yeah, it's interesting now to hear about different places. Why'd you go to Somalia?
So it's a roundabout way of getting there. I was talking to a friend of mine who nearly died from a heart attack. He said it forced him to look back over his life and to wonder had he done any good.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to think, Jesus, I mean, have I done any good? Like, you know, people say that making people laugh is a service, but it's also a self-serving.
Yeah. Nobody
thing.
understands that.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, you do it for whatever, you know, twisted, dysfunctional blessings you were given as a child.
We're doing it for ourselves. We don't give a fuck about them. Like, it's nice you're laughing, but I don't. If
Yeah.
you died tonight, I'd be fine.
No, and, you know, making an individual laugh is as rewarding as making a crowd laugh. So, you know. But I started to think then, okay, what the hell have I actually done? And in my own mind, very little. So I contacted, they used to be called third world agencies. So do you remember, I don't know if you got this growing up, that there was the first, second and third world. So the first world was mainly the America and Europe and Canada and Australia. We were the first world. This was the kind of the best place to be.
Yeah.
The second world was the communist world. All of Russia and China and I guess Cuba and places like that. And the third world was fucked. The third world, it wasn't even communist. Like, they were just poor and broken. And again, it's an imaginative trope that helps people classify certain situations easily. So, and we were always encouraged as children to give money to the third world, and how are we going to help the third world and this kind of stuff. So I contacted this, they're not called development agencies. I contacted this development agency and I said, how can I help? And so I was offering my services as a kind of a well-known loudmouth, that I would go to a place and then come back and complain on their behalf.
Oh, wow.
Is the idea. I'm not a,
what a bargain.
You know what I mean? So I'm not going to, you know, obviously I can't, I wasn't going to bring food to Somalia. I'm not a doctor or...
What if you do a joke to 10,000 people about Somalia? People are like, oh, maybe we'll go visit Somalia.
Well, it was more to come back and harangue the government.
Oh.
And harass them about their policy towards underdeveloped countries. So this third world development, whatever they're called now, they're called Trócaire, which is the Irish for mercy, I think. And they said, I phoned up this lady, I was in a car park in Ireland. And I said, hi, it's Tommy here, blah, 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 blah. How can I help? And she ran the organisation and she said, come with me to Somalia next week.
Damn.
And I went, what? And she says, come with me to Somalia next week. I'm going out there. The country's on the edge of a famine. You can come out. The Irish government are about to announce their budget for the following year, and you can hassle them on our behalf. So I phoned my wife and I says, can I go? And she said, yeah. And I went.
In a week's notice?
And there's an Islamist terrorist organisation there called Al-Shabaab.
I've heard of that.
They killed a load of people in Mogadishu last week, or when you know, recently. Yeah. So I had to go on a program, like a day's course of what to do if you're kidnapped and if the convoy you're in is attacked by militia. What to do, where to hide, the type of things that you need to say if you're being interrogated after being kidnapped.
Like, what would they tell you to say?
I can't remember, but it was all stuff like, I remember one of them was, if they say this, you're fucked. like, you know.
They're like, you're not coming out.
You're not coming out, yeah, so make your peace with that. They said it's unlikely that's going to happen. It's like that scene in Oppenheimer where Matt Damon asks Cillian Murphy, could this go wrong? And he says, well, there's a 1% chance it could go wrong. Yeah. Your man's there, 1%, Jesus. So there's about a 1% chance of me being kidnapped and shot, but it did exist. I didn't tell my wife.
Were they saying that if you did get kidnapped, they're probably going to ransom you, or is it going to be like, no, political prisoner, you might kill it? Like,
I don't know. I mean, what did Islamic terrorist organizations? What do they do? I mean, they're not reasonable. behead you.
Yeah.
They either keep you for a long time, and then you're released to great fanfare, or they kill you. So anyway, but I kind of committed to this anyway, so I said I'm going to do it.
Mogadishu.
So I flew from Dublin to Nairobi in Kenya, which is just beside it there.
Yeah.
Stayed a night there. Was looking forward to walking around Nairobi because I heard it's a very kind of European type city. Got into the hotel. They said, you're not allowed to leave.
What?
And I said, how come? And they said, because you're white. That's an amazing feeling. They said, if a white person is walking on their own around here, you will be attacked.
What?
Because you represent money. It's not because they hate white people. It's not a racist thing.
It's just Target.
It's a target. You have money, so you will be mugged.
So
that's the first time I've ever experienced that.
Nairobi.
So
in Nairobi, you just can't leave after dark.
This is during the day.
Oh, what? So what were you supposed to do?
I just stayed in the hotel.
What?
I was only this was a particular. Now this was a relatively the agency wanted to protect me.
Yeah.
So they were doing stuff that maybe they normally wouldn't do. So they were putting me in a hotel that maybe they wouldn't normally stay at. But it was in a posh, supposedly a kind of a posh part of Nairobi. And they said, I got there. I said, I want to walk around and have I drink a lot of coffee. So like a Kenyan coffee and some groovy
cool.
Kenyan coffee shop and big, brilliant, generously buxom African women walking around the place.
Yeah.
Who would not want that?
Yeah, who would not want to see that?
And they said, no, you are not allowed to leave the hotel.
Oh, balls.
So I stayed in the hotel. Following day, we flew from Nairobi into Mogadishu. Again, we're not allowed outside the airport compound, and it's a UN airport.
Is it because they're worried about just like their responsibility if something happens to you, or are they legitimately worried?
No, this was not personal now. This was because of the threat of Al-Shabaab in the town of Mogadishu.
Okay.
So this was a huge UN compound. This was like a UN airport. So you had all types of military planes. You had all types of agency planes. It was like an African mash. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So landed there and then flew out into the country.
And Mogadishu's Islamic?
Oh yeah, they are fiercely. All of Somalia is fiercely Islamic. Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, I got to break in real quick to tell you about Tommy Tiernan. He's not all doom and gloom. No, he's a storytelling comedian in the tradition of Irish's finest. He's Tommy Tiernan. I saw him first time in Montreal. Me and Mark Maron went over to watch a show. Man, the guy's the best. And then we watched a show together somewhere. We were both like laughing about how this one comic just did a bunch of crowd work. It didn't go anywhere. And we're like, oh, I came to see his show. That was in Toronto. The guy rules. He's this high-level Irish comic. And I remember the first time he goes, hey, I saw you once in Montreal. Weren't you doing that joke about like jerking off two guys? That was so lovely. With this Irish accent. I forget. Comics are just comics. And Tommy's on tour right now in America. You can find all his tour dates at tommytiernan.ie. IE is for Ireland. TOMMYTIERNAN. Toronto's already sold out, but he's in Philadelphia, Boston, New York is sold out. In November, he moves on to Chicago, Minneapolis, Calgary, Victoria, Vancouver again, Seattle, Irvine, Los Angeles, San Jose. Then he's in San Francisco at the Palace of Fine Arts. In December, January, February, he's back to Ireland at Killarney, Galway. I said that pretty good. Killarney. That sounds like a good accent. Killarney. I blew it. Galway, Castlebar, Dublin. He's doing a residency there. Galway, Louth. I messed that one up. Antioch, Belfast. I'm really bad. Limerick and Derry. Go to official Tom Median on Instagram. That's TOMMEDIAN. Official Tom Median on Instagram. And go to his tour dates, tommytiernan.ie. Myself, I'm on tour, everybody. I got my new Farewell to Arms tour. Farewell to Ari's tour. Nah, it doesn't work. It's Farewell tour. I'm leaving. I'm only doing gigs the first quarter of the year. Then I'm gone. Until all through 2025, all through 2026. You won't be able to see me. So here's where you can see me. It starts in Austin in December. Then Tahoe also in December. And then pretty much January, February, March, we got Anchorage. Oh, no, Anchorage is the last gig in Alaska. It's the last gig in Alaska. That's in June. But everything else is here. Atlanta, huge one. Austin is, I think, already sold out, to be honest. Brea, Calgary, tickets low on that, almost sold out. Schaumburg, Denver, I'm doing a best of week at the Denver Comedy Works, my favorite room in the world. Edmonton, Fort Lauderdale, Nashville, Orlando, Pittsburgh, the first week of January. Portland, one night only. Providence, Salt Lake City, San Antonio, San Jose, Seattle, big show, one night only in April. Tampa, Vancouver, I think that's it. Get tickets right now at AriShaffir.com. The pre-sale is over. The on-sale is now. The best tickets are going, if they're not already gone. Tampa's almost sold out as well. I don't know. It's all going fast, you guys. That's it. That's all for me, and then I'm done. Let's get back to this episode and some horrors of the Somalian life. Also, don't forget to subscribe here. We have fun podcasts and unfun podcasts. It's all about experiencing new places in the world. I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Also, subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Now let's get back to Tommy Tiernan telling us about a place no one's been. By the way, if anybody has any Somalian money, do they even have that? I could use it for the wall really bad. I doubt I'll be able to get replicas of that. Maybe I'll ask Tommy if he has any left over. I doubt he handled much money there. Anyway, let's get back to the episode.
And then so I flew out then from Mogadishu out into the Somalian countryside.
To see it, to see fucking poverty.
To see famine.
Whoa.
And it was, so I don't know what it was like in America, but in Europe, so the first visual data we got of famine was around 84, 85, just before Live Aid and Band Aid and all that type, We Are the World and that kind of stuff. And that was the imagery from back then was desert landscape and people malnourished people in rags.
Mm-hmm.
Gaunt, swollen bellied, and there's very, very famous footage of this baby dying and a vulture in the background.
Ugh.
Just kind of
it was all that stuff.
Startling.
Like,
startling imagery.
Flies on the eyes. And
so that's what I had in my mind in terms of the famine, but it wasn't like that. What it was the towns were functioning. Now, when I say towns, this isn't like some place in the Midwest or some place in Ireland. These are African towns. They're shanty towns. They are. There's no paved roads. It's all. They're dirt tracks. There's nothing is level. There's no.
Do you have any sort of is this at all like any part of Ireland?
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's no, it's not. It's almost prehistoric. And they're funny words to be using, but I'm trying to find words that have associations for us here in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So prehistoric is what is the kind of the broken place, a kind of so shanty town I think is the closest.
Yeah.
But people sitting outside in plastic chairs, and there's a kind of it's kind of a Mad Max country. Broken chairs and plastic stuff and people selling stuff. We arrive in the compound, and what happens is that the towns are functioning relatively okay. And the people who live in the towns have access to food. The people in the country, their crops are dying, their animals are dying, their children and old people are dying.
Jesus.
So they come in their hundreds of thousands to these camps on the edge of towns. You have a town with 20,000 people and a camp with 250,000 people outside it. And they're all starving. And they're all coming in. The men are coming in to the town looking for work, getting paid it might have even been in American dollars or something, I'm not sure. And then they can buy bits of food and bring them back out. So that was what I went out to see.
So there must be such desperation then. There's that many people. Do you know what the amazing thing was?
What? I was blown away by their faith
That it's going to get better?
that it was all God's will. So, a very
Jesus.
clever man told me, he said that famine is political. What he meant by that, anytime there's anybody anywhere in the world starving to death, there's the food there to feed them. It's a political decision
To not get it there?
to not get it
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So this was around the start of the war in the Ukraine. And the Russians, I think, had blockaded some of the... Ukraine is the biggest grain manufacturer in Europe. So a lot of Ukrainian grain would make its way down to Somalia, but that wasn't happening. So I'm talking to this guy who had come from the country. He'd walked for 3 weeks to get from his
What?
ex-farm to this famine camp. And 2 of his kids died on the way. So they're Muslim, so I think there's something they'd be buried before the sundown. I don't know what it is. Remember when Osama bin Laden was shot and had to throw him into the water that day or something? I can't remember what it was. Anyway, so they have this the idea that it has to be buried before sunset.
So
So
weird they shot Osama bin Laden. They're like, let's make sure he gets a proper burial.
that's it.
Let's be respectful, though.
That's it, yeah. Let's shoot him in the face and
Yeah.
then pay our respects.
It really was a loss.
Very-
Yeah.
It's Italian mafia, basically.
I'm so sorry for your loss, everyone. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Like, you shot him. I know. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry for your loss.
I know he's really important here. I heard he did some great stuff.
That's him with his kids, so cute.
So Osama Jr. He's got his eyes. He's got
All
his
of them.
eyes. I have one of his
Osama
eyes.
Jr.
You can have it actually if you want it. Yeah.
Hang on to this. Keep it in your pocket. Oh.
No disrespect.
So anyway, back to the famine. So this guy had buried 2 of his kids by the side of the road and walked on to the camp.
What's he hoping to get there?
Food.
Okay.
Food. And menial
damn.
labor in terms of
Buried
earning.
2 kids on the way.
Yeah. And I swear to God, he was smiling with me. He was laughing with me.
What?
And he says to me, it's God's will. And it's God's will that we're going through this. And it's God's will that it's happening. And when God wants, it will end. And I mean, you know, you know that the Russians are stopping the grain, but you're kind of going, you're amazed by it because the man is so light in himself and so full of decency, and you're aware of what he's been through. And if you met somebody over here who'd been through that, they'd be a wreck.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to do anything. They'd be, you know, their whole life would be ruined forever. But this guy is smiling at me, and that was the main thing I took away from that, was their unshakable faith. You know, God will send a solution. And it was, I mean, what are you supposed to say to that? Do you know? So anyway, so I spent a week traveling around all
Were
the
you
different.
thinking while you were there, were you thinking of any similarities between like your guys' famine and how you came out of it to them?
Well, again, in the famine in Ireland was political because food has been shipped. The English who owned the country at the time, crops were being grown and were being shipped over to England. So
really?
it was more of a starvation than a famine, really.
Oh.
And I don't know how you carry these things in your bones for a couple of generations. Any tribe that goes through phenomenal trauma, it takes a long time for that to leave the bones. Even if people who are not physically connected to it, or it's a story, or nobody knows anybody who went through it.
Yeah,
So
I don't know if it's like,
So the Irish famine was 1845.
yeah. We
So
got
you-
ours, and everybody still talks about it, even though like none of us were there.
You know, so but it stays in the bone.
Yeah.
Stays in the bone for a long, long time. So that's the only like Ireland is a lush country. Beautiful. It's green. It rains. Things grow. There's ducks and rabbits and trees and rainbows. And sometimes you'd be standing in the west of Ireland in a beautiful valley, you know, and you just know, and you're wondering, how did people starve to death here?
Yeah. I just realized that. I was like,
how did that happen? It's in Africa. You can understand, but in Ireland, it was because we were so poor that the only crop that we grew was it was called a potato blight. That was a kind of a for 3 or 4 years the crop was poisoned, so we couldn't eat that, and everything else that was grown was taken out of the country by the English and shipped overseas. So, I mean, but the main, and I tell you something that I still probably haven't processed, and I'm probably able to talk about it because I haven't processed it. There was a small hospital in the town, and this woman came in, and it was like she was having a slightly out of body experience. She was a bit vacant, a bit numb. No crying, no pleading, no wailing, no hysteria, no panic. She had a severely malnourished child with her, and she put the child down on the bed, and the child was, just a gaunt looking baby. And we were asked to leave the hospital, and found out later that the baby died. And what I'm struck by is just the kind of, there was no screaming. There was no, she was in a ward, like this isn't a private room in a posh hospital and you have bereavement counsellors, and, this was just in a rundown hospital on the edge of a town, and the ward is full of other women with 12 kids, and 2 have died, and all this type of stuff. And they just have it's just a different, I wouldn't call it stoicism, but it's just... How? It's just not our way. It's just not our way of dealing with stuff. It's not in our...
Yeah.
We're a lot more... We're pampered emotionally, probably. And we're also...
You think it's just that they're used to that amount of pain so that they can handle it better?
No, I don't think we can define it. I don't think that we're able to... Yeah. Being an individual doesn't matter as much. It's more who you are in your family, what you can do for the family, what the family can do for the clan, and what the clan can do for the tribe. That's where everything fits in. That's your reason for being. That has dark stuff too, because if you shame the family, you got to
do something about it.
They got to punish you in some way.
Were there like tribes there?
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's all tribe. It's all clan.
It's like little villages of people.
Yeah, but it's and I met some of the tribal leaders, and you do stuff like you go to meet some of these tribal leaders, and there's a hierarchy. This guy will talk first, then this guy will talk, wow. Then this guy will talk, then this guy will talk. And it's almost like you're looking at fellas, and it's like so the image that comes to my head is stuff that we may have seen of the Taliban. Those guys with those kind of Muslim guys with the big beards, and they're sitting in the dust, and they're the king of the town, like they're
It's like that.
There's stuff like that going on.
Wow.
And then you have young men, teenagers who have been taken into the Somali army, 15 years of age.
Damn.
Just lying sprawled across a wall with an AK-47 across their shoulder, and they're eyeballing you as you're walking past. A kid. I passed by some sort of a donut shop yesterday. There was 5 teenagers with skateboards all eating pizza or something. A year ago in Somalia, same aged kids.
With guns.
With AK-47s.
I mean, they have no sense of right and wrong at 15.
They have sense of power.
Right, yeah.
Don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Don't even look at me.
God damn.
You know, and just
What,
just a week.
what'd you eat while you were there?
So I can't remember. It was all fried. It was all
Fried like KFC or fried like is it like
fried like
Somalian
KFC,
food?
but I'm not sure what it was.
Okay.
It was. I mean, maybe been chicken or fish or something.
Hey guys, today's episode of You Be Trippin is brought to you by Shopify.com. Whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. What I'm selling is counterfeit Yankees gear. Yeah, it's our year. It's our year. I got the Aaron Judge shirt with the name on it. He's never worn it in a real game in his life. I got the Aaron Gooch hat. Got it from a bodega for $10. They thought it was a misprint. I say it's a foreprint. Yeah, that's right. It's like Cal Ripken's brother Billy Ripken's baseball card with the cuss in the bottom. Worth millions of dollars, probably. I don't know, probably at least 10 grand. You can sell that stuff online with Shopify.com. Gooch! It's our gear! $10. This guy didn't know what he had. Listen, guys, if he just used the number one checkout on the planet, Shopify, wouldn't make this mistake. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout I use at Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/trippin, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/trippin to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/trippin. Gooch, it's our gear. Yo, guys, today's episode of You Be Trippin is brought to you by Mando. It's full body deodorant you use everywhere, and it lasts for 72 freaking hours. That means you can go to a Yankee game or whatever your team is and cheer them on and they win. You get superstitious and you go, well, I'm not going to shower tomorrow because I don't want to mess up this mojo. This is all totally fine, by the way. This is all totally fine. I can't wear this hat to games because I wore it to a hat in the one loss in the first round. So now I don't wear this anymore. And if showering is your thing that you don't do anymore, then Mando has you covered. Controls Odor for 72 hours. I have the body wash in my bathroom here. It's the official body wash of the You Be Trippin Studios. DeRosa is going to use it when he lives here. Ready to make the upgrade to Mando? Special offer. New customers get a $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack with code TRIPPIN at shopmando.com. Whole body deodorant. Mando is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Guys, it's the thing. It's a thing. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I got a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code TRIPPIN at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. It's like a fire sale.
Again, there was a compound for the development agency on the edge of town because they had doctors there and nurses and all types of health workers. So they had to be kept healthy so that they could go into the camp and feed people and attend to them if they were ill. So they were all mostly Kenyans who got a job with the development agency. And they were all mostly, even though the development agency is a Catholic one, they were all mainly Muslim. And what I was really struck by there was the way that the day has a religious structure. So you get up and you pray, and then you pray again at lunchtime, and then you pray again in the afternoon, and you pray, and there's no, it's not like, you know, people over here saying, oh, I meditate, you know, if I get 20 minutes in the morning or Saturdays. I meditate on Saturdays. This is 5 days a week.
Was it the bells go off and everyone just
a bell goes off
prayer?
or something and they all go, and I think that does them good. You know what I mean?
There's I don't know. It's like whenever I heard about like the black experience in America and slavery and all they took on like the Jewish hymns of like Moses and freedom.
Yeah.
And it always struck me as like, that's what held you back from doing what you had to do, picking up a machete and using it the wrong way. Is this belief that like God's going to help you in the end, or there's all a point here?
Yeah. So you're more of a Che Guevara
Yeah.
type of a figure.
Yeah. Like this God's not helping you right now.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's not a government, it's a famine. That's a noble, brave sentiment, man. That is, there's strength in that, you know.
Yeah.
you're an agitator.
Yeah, I'm a shit
You
stirrer.
know, and I tell you,
Yeah.
if Africa gets angry, the rest of the world better fucking watch out.
Yeah.
Because you have if Africa, say with stuff to do with the Western way of life and the way we release things into the atmosphere that heat up the world, and the place that heats up the most is Africa, and the people who suffer the most have nothing to do with the way of life that's creating the heat. And if young African men and women, the way the whole Malcolm X Black Panther thing happened in the States here in the 60s, if young African men and women just all of a sudden, because they're enthralled to the white man at the moment, parts of Africa still feel as if the white man is superior. But if they go, hang on a fucking second here now,
Yeah.
we've been shat on from a great height, and if Africa gets angry, if Africa declares war on the
Yeah.
Western way of life, as
They unite.
they're entitled to do.
Yeah. Luckily, it's God doing it, and not like colonialism.
Well, you know,
So it's like, wait, where'd you go? What city did you go to? Do you remember?
I can't remember the names. Was there a place called Dugort?
Maybe.
Dugort. I think that's where I went. Dugort, yeah. No,
That's
that's in Mayo.
Ireland.
That's in Ireland. I got that wrong.
You're like, I knew it.
Dugort is in. But I can't remember the names of the towns.
Yeah.
Um,
Where did you go to? Were there restaurants there that you could go to in Mogadishu and anywhere?
No, you're.
So you just got the food that this.
I was in the
group got you.
compound,
Right.
in the development agency compound. You spend the day in the camp. Just kind of, you're the white man walking around with other white people, and
Were they thankful that you were there?
the kids were. No,
Curious?
I'd say they were thankful. I mean, they were just looking at me like, oh, another one of these gringos.
What did they speak?
Somali, I think, is the language
Okay.
they speak. The kids were playful. The kids were up for devilment, and I remember there's a great movie out called Timbuktu.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about an Islamic organization that they take over this village, and they're what's the proper phrase for ISIS and things like this?
I don't know.
Is it Islamic terrorists? It's not just Islamic. It's kind of they want to establish a caliphate. Is that the right phrase? But in Timbuktu, I don't know if you want to get it up there in the thing. They play a game of football with an invisible ball.
No, really? God damn, that is fucking famine.
Right?
When you don't even have a fucking ball, but you're still playing.
No, no. This wasn't in Somalia. This was in Timbuktu, which is in Morocco. But the Islamists terrorist organization had taken over the village. They had banned music.
Stunningly choreographed, having all the grace and skill of a real match. What? That's wild.
And so that, to me, do you see it there now?
Yeah. Oh, football. Oh, real football. What? The donkey.
Just
in the
play
field?
it there. Can you play it stuff on a podcast?
Yeah, sure. Here. Oh, it's YouTube.
This
okay.
one here. Look, will you see it?
Oh, this is so cool. Whoa, they got a ref and everything.
And they're awarding free kicks and
How do they all decide where that ball's going
because
off the head?
look at them. How are they? You tell me how they're
the
deciding.
ball comes up. The fake ball comes off somebody's head. They all took off that way instead of one. You think one guy's like, I scored.
Well, wait till you see. There's some sort of communal agreement.
Yeah.
So the reason they're doing that in the movie is because the ISIS or whatever have banned all games
A band fun.
from the village.
I thought they weren't cool before.
But now they're very uncool.
Yeah.
So I had a game of football with the kids in the famine camp with an invisible ball. That was the only thing I could do.
Could you keep up with them?
I'd juggle it and then
Okay.
I'd pass it to them, and they got it like that. They juggled and then passed it back to me.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. And you're like, okay. I mean, you're probably better with an invisible ball than with the real one, which is nice.
Is that the truth?
There's something about where you're traveling, especially in places where you don't speak the language at all, the kids. There's like a meeting area with children.
Yeah.
That you can like kind of connect with them mentally or something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Just like a high five is your currency.
Yeah, that's good. But anyway, so that was. I spent about a week there, and then flew back to Ireland and started talking about it publicly. And that was my job. That was my.
And what you spoke to, like the Irish government?
Yeah, so that was a funny thing. So in 1974, the Irish government made a pledge to give 0.7% of the gross national product to the developing world.
Okay.
1974, the pledge was made. It was a few of the European countries did it as well, made the pledge. And to this day, only Germany, Norway, Sweden and Denmark have fulfilled the pledge. And each successive Irish government since 74 has made the pledge. But we're still on just 0.3% or 0.29%. So I started making a public noise about this and saying...
That's what you got to do.
That's
Make
your
noise,
job,
make
really, because
noise.
you weren't flown over for the good of your health. You're there because you're a mouth.
Yeah.
So work it when you come home. So that's what I did. And they would never... What was interesting was the Irish Prime Minister was over here and he was about to go into a meeting in the UN building in New York. And, there's always, press people outside these things.
Mm-hmm.
And he's about to go in to talk about what was happening in the Ukraine. And a member of the press says, what do you think about what Tommy Tiernan said about your reneging on your promise of 0.7%? And then he gave an answer. And then I gave an answer to that.
What do you mean, how?
He just
in
was,
the news and then the news?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he said, well, blah, 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 numbers.
Yeah.
And then the Minister for Finance said something. And then I went after him.
Whoa.
And he replied, and then in the budget, they increased it. They didn't go to the 0.7%, but they went up to like 0.5%. So you could never say, a government will never say it was because of what's the word for, it's not activism, I can't remember what the word is, but
protest or
something like that.
Yeah.
A government will never say that we did this because we were being hassled.
Right, that way, like we decided we wanted to do
we were going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So you'll never know if what you have done has had any effect. But you can say, this was happening, and they increased it a little bit.
They did that here. There was a bunch of, just one day, there was a line around the block of the blackest black people outside this church. It was a processing center, and then they just showed up one day in the park, hundreds of them. And then we found out kind of what it was. The community gardens were like, well, let's help them. Let's build bathrooms and stuff. The government's not going to do anything. And one person wrote an article, and then it was like, oh, shit, we're embarrassed. Now we got to do it.
Advocacy.
Yeah, advocacy.
So
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean.
And then the following year then, they said, why don't you come to Malawi with us?
Where's Malawi?
So Malawi is kind of in the center somewhere. Yeah, Malawi is... I
got it on here.
It's near Rwanda
It's a country.
and the Congo and Tanzania.
With the same aid group?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another landlocked one.
Yeah. And they said, we want you to come there and see the effects of climate change on the country.
I mean, is this what you want to do?
Well, I kind
Go
of...
live in suffering?
Well, no, but you kind of... It goes back to that thing of, what have you done?
Right.
How have you chipped in? How have you chipped in? Either on a local level by giving somebody some money on the street, or...
I mean, you've done very well. I get why you would...
So, so I went to Malawi, and I saw that thing talking about earlier on about how, the world heating up and the places heating up the most have had fuck all to do with the process of heating up.
Oh, right.
So I went there, and again, they said the template is the same. We want you to go over, and then we want you to come back and complain to the government about their fossil fuel consumption, their emission targets. But really wasn't successful, because that's if you're saying people are dying because they have no food, and how dare we do this to them, can we please fulfill our obligation of 0.7%? That's a real easy argument to make.
They'd be like, yes, sure, I didn't realize. Okay, yes.
You know,
was the answer.
If you go over and you say, there are people whose way of life has been affected, who can't grow crops anymore, who are on the verge of hunger because of our way of life. Can you please change our way of life?
No way. Yeah, no way. Yeah, I get it. We're like, hey, can everybody stop driving so much?
Yeah, so that wasn't as successful in terms of, if that's the barometer, the metric you use. But yeah, they're the two things. They're the kind of...
What in Somalia, what were the bathrooms like? Were they normal sit-down shitters, or like just holes, or like, do you remember?
Oh, man.
I'm sure in the aid camps, maybe
I think
they
there
set up
must have been holes in the ground. You kind of, there, isn't it, remember Red Fox?
Uh-huh.
He had a great album called You Gotta Clean Your Ass.
I have that one.
Yeah, it's great
I
album.
have it at home. Yeah, it is. It is great. There's always like two, you can almost hear like two fat black ladies up front just going, wow, just on every joke. Yeah, you gotta wash your ass.
You gotta wash your ass.
Yeah.
So they're big into that in Muslim countries.
Oh, washing ass. I thought Red Fox.
Yeah. It's a big thing. So each toilet would have like a tap beside the thing to clean your butt. So I remember that.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta wash your ass. Yeah, it was a really solid album.
Yeah.
The balls on Red Fox.
Yeah.
There was okay, so they just like take water and like wipe it out.
You wipe it, yeah. Isn't there that thing of you don't you eat with your left hand,
shake
clean
with your
your
right.
ass with your right or something? I can't remember what it was. I don't remember too much about that, but I think the one thing that I took away from it, one of the things, was their faith. I was floored by that idea of it's God's will. Floored by it. Absolutely just... it wasn't that... It was a sense of surrender to... a kind of a fatalistic surrender, but not an abandonment of hope. Because they were saying when
it turns around.
It's God. And it actually did turn around the following year. It started raining the following year.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm sure that they're kind of going, God is good. How did we ever, it's not the history, I think, of, I'm not sure about this, and I'm sure some of your listeners will know, but the history of doubt in Islam, I'm not sure is the same as the history of doubt in Christianity. And
what do you mean the history of doubt?
As in, there's kind of, in Europe now, well, I'm not sure. Do I believe in God? Well, we've had kind of 200 years of rational thinking. We've had scientific thought. It doesn't make sense that there's a man in the sky who loves us. It just doesn't make rational sense. And I'm not really sure if I go into that God's will thing. I mean, it's possible, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure they've had the same adventures in African Islam. I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't. These guys were just, say the most believing.
No, that makes sense.
The most believing people here in the States are probably the fundamentalist Christians. Do you mean they're the ones who kind of go, this is the way it is. It's all.
But there's no doubt in them that's
at all.
Right. I grew up with really religious Jews.
Okay.
And the same thing. Like, do the women care that they're in the house? Like, it's not even a thought of other options.
Yeah.
You don't even think about that. You're just this is just the way of life.
So I don't know where doubt comes in there.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Right.
If it's going to turn around, it's going to be God, of course.
Totally. So anyway,
did they have a government there in Somalia?
Yeah, it's a government that is trying to accommodate Al-Shabaab. It's trying to, in some way, live with them, but it's a very fractious relationship.
Yeah, Is Al Shabaab like a type of the government?
No,
Do they, like,
Al
run stuff?
Shabaab. Al Shabaab is the Al Qaeda, ISIS of that particular part of the world.
But like ISIS is the government, sort of.
No,
in some
no.
parts of the world, like they become
Sure,
the ruling class.
caliphate, but not in
Not
in
like that.
Somalia just yet.
Was there any stuff about the pirates and stuff when you went there? Were they talking about that, or is that just like people trying to make money on their own?
Yeah, that's more. Are the pirates more kind of off the? They are. That's isn't it? It's kind of it's around there. It's around that ocean. Yeah, not too much.
That's what I know of Somalia, not this famine stuff at all.
Yeah.
That's the press they get.
From Tom Hanks, that movie, Captain Phillips.
Captain No, yeah, yeah, they really put him on the map.
There's another Danish movie which is about the same story, but is much better. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I'd be in. I mean, I loved being in. The thing that kind of struck me was how at home I felt there, in terms of the heat.
What do you mean?
Like I'm a man for damp shelter. I love it's slightly. Yesterday was hot in New York, and I was very unhappy. But today is a
Today's
nice.
Scottish.
It's a kind of
Today feels a little
it's
Scottish.
a drizzly.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
perfect for my people.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. How did you and your Irish skin do out there? That's great. That's a death sentence for you.
It should have been.
Yeah.
But I loved it actually.
Really?
Yeah, it was so hot I gave up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I went to Glastonbury and for the festival.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out on the Wednesday with an Irish, and it was just a really good weather one.
Yeah.
And it was like mid-20s, 22, 23, 26, 27. And this guy was like, fuck. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's nice out. And he's like, really in the shade. This Irish guy I was hanging out with.
We had a heat wave in Ireland last year where I think it was 31 degrees yesterday here in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we had a heat wave in Ireland where it was 31 degrees, and we were being warned for days it was about to happen. We were told to check on all the old people to make sure the dogs have water. It was like some kind of end of the world event.
A blizzard of sun.
Or the whole country was going to get a heat stroke. So I was really surprised. I felt so solid in the heat, and it goes back like the women there are like the ones that weren't in the famine camp, obviously, but even some of them,
Hot.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, like it's that coffee-colored skin thing. It is.
Iman is her name.
Oh my God.
Dave Bowie's wife. Yeah, it's like it's not like
she's single now, isn't she?
both push each other to go make a phone call to her. I'm calling her. Yeah.
So
I just got it.
do you think the grieving process is done?
Yeah.
Is she immune to a bit of Jewish-Irish charm? The two of us double act
We can't handle you alone, but we can split up our time.
together.
Yeah. We're half a man. Yeah, it is that coffee. It's a different.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're mad into the hand tattoos. So they get these
henna stuff?
The henna stuff that if they're going to a wedding or if some big event is coming up, they have this. They're so beautiful and intricate and gorgeous, and they last for 3 or 4 months. So they have this kind of there's a kind of sultriness to them. I've always been attracted to religious women.
Wow. Damn.
And there's a kind of, isn't it amazing?
Wow. And it's like colorful too.
Yeah.
Damn, badass.
And they last 3 or 4 months, like.
Really? That's what
Yeah.
I need a tattoo to last like that long. What is that from? Is that religious or is that just like cultural?
Tribal, I'd say, but
Yeah.
it's also, I think they have.
And now they go modern.
Yeah.
I need tattoos.
Religious women won't flirt with you.
Oh yeah?
So they have this inner seriousness, this discipline that I find really attractive. It's like sexy nuns. Is there such a thing?
Take your word for it. Yeah.
I ain't even heard of them.
And other women would flirt with you?
I think we live in a flirtatious culture. I think everybody's trying to look good and is proud of looking good, and everybody tries to make themselves attractive, so they are going to attract, and it's kind of like it's part of someone's power It always seems more beautiful in women than it does in men. But say a woman is, she puts on her makeup and dresses in a way that she kind of feels strong. But it's part of it is connected to display, isn't it? Part of it's kind
peacocking.
Kind of look.
Makeup, big bright. It's like you.
Or whatever,
you look like the fucking Joker.
And of course, in every culture, there's the opposite. There are women who don't play by those things at all. But it definitely exists in our culture. That idea.
Yeah, feminists here.
In Islamic countries, that is not part of the deal at all. So the women, because it's a kind of a brutal patriarchy, just operate on a different level. It's a different level of. They still have power, but it's expressed differently. And I'm putting this together in a very kind of ham-fisted type of way, but there is a difference. There's this. I can't separate it from patriarchy, but I can testify to its strength. So it's a funny thing that's going on, but they're so, my God, they're beyond gorgeous. You'd follow them into war, they're just amazing.
There's a lot of the hijab there?
No, not many. No.
No, okay.
No.
Different kind of Islam.
Yeah. Although the hijab must have been somewhere, but no, it was mainly open face stuff, and very serious women as well, but great, very good.
Yeah. And did you, when you go back to Mogadishu, when you went back, you stayed for a day and then flew home?
No, flew into Mogadishu and stayed for just 2 or 3 hours in the compound.
Oh.
I took...
Totally unsafe to go around wherever you want by yourself.
They sometimes they bomb the compound. So you're seeing... It's a military... It was a kind of... Not a fully fledged Taliban military situation, but it was a military tension. So they had guards everywhere. They had lookout towers. They had holes in the runway from bombs and stuff like that. So your military cargo coming in, and you had small little planes and heading out. So it took me about 6 flights to leave Somalia.
What do you mean 6 flights?
So whatever regional part of the country I was in, small plane, land, pick people up, small plane, land, that kind of, you're just flying from town to town, picking people up, then got to Mogadishu, but it's also, that thing of when I was in Nairobi, I've been told it's not safe for you to leave the hotel because you're white.
Yeah.
That's an interesting place for a white person to be in.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And because you kind of feel, hang on a minute, my skin colour shouldn't matter.
And Irish, it's just that. You're the same skin color as everybody. Would you even think about it? Your skin color until then?
No, I was never conscious of myself as an outsider in that way. I mean, I supported D.L. Hewley in Caroline, so I was aware of myself as an outsider to that crowd.
Yeah. Did you really?
I did, yeah.
He flew you over to fucking feature for him?
No. I was in town, and somebody asked, would you mind if Tommy did 10 minutes in front of you at Caroline's? And he says, no problem. And that was it. I do think there's a connection between tribes that have suffered. So I would see a connection and would have a desire to make contact with Jewish people, with black people, with any tribe basically, that with South American, Mexican people, Aboriginal people. Because I think once suffering is in your bones, you kind of have something in common with people.
Yeah.
I have no time for the Swedes or
the Icelandic. Fuck off.
Yeah, the Norwegians.
You don't even abuse anyone else.
Or Protestants. I have no time for any of those people. But generally speaking, tribal cultures, I would have. You'd share stuff with the Italians and the Spanish through Catholicism. As an Irish person, you wouldn't share too much with the Germans. You'd start to share stuff now with the Eastern Europeans because of what they've been through.
Yeah.
You know, nobody really is too informed on the Russians. There would be a natural affinity between Irish people and Palestinians
Yeah, sure.
because of the history of the
There's
state.
always been a link up there, huh?
The what?
There's always been a link between the Palestinians and the Irish.
Totally. So, and it's funny because there would also be a link between Irish people and Jewish people in terms of suffering.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it's a funny, it's a kind of odd one. But anyway, that was Nairobi was the first place where I was told, no, you cannot leave the hotel. And I says, why not, man? I said, because when they see you, they will attack you. I says, what you will be mugged on the street. You will not last 5 minutes. You must stay here. I was going, dude, I just want to go for. I will send coffee to your room. You sit there and you do not leave.
Whoa.
So that's, I mean, what white people get to experience that, you know? So anyway, yeah.
You feel lucky to be able to go there? Was it like...
Do you know...
You're back seeing all the suffering, telling people about it, but is it like, that was a fun trip, I feel more fulfilled or more like
no, not
more
fun,
worldly?
not fulfilled. And do you know sometimes when you... say you're being chased by a dog, okay, and you come to a 12-foot wall with broken glass and barbed wire on the top of it, right? And in the adrenaline, you make it over, you don't give a fuck, you cut yourself, and then you jump into a river and you swim across and you're safe, okay? And you go, wow, that was amazing, I'm full of adrenaline. And then someone says to you a year later, hey, do you want to do that again? You go, no. No.
Yeah.
So that's the way I feel about Somalia, is that I was swept up in the adrenaline of the moment with because it all happened so quickly. But I would probably find the second trip tougher because I know what's in store for me. I had no idea what I was going to see.
Damn.
And which means that the people who work there on behalf of the development agencies are remarkable people, because they work there for 6 months and they go home for 3 weeks, and then they know what they're going back into for 6 months.
Damn.
So
Was it hard to sleep and stuff? Like just seeing it all, where you're just like...
No, it was too much information. I'm still processing stuff about it. And I never really talk about the kids that were dying, because I still that's like, I don't know how to do that. So it's easier for me to hang on to the faith thing and go, that guy who kept pointing towards God, and you know, I can talk about that because it's comfortable for me. But there's other bits that I don't have nightmares about it. I don't have anything. Maybe a kind of a self-protective thing of not actually absorbing it. Maybe, you know, I don't talk about it in my stand-up.
It's not funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be great if you could make it funny. But you have to make people relate, like see it, and then move away from it. That's a tough one.
So that would be inappropriate unless the joke was on me.
Yeah.
But there's a thing in storytelling of if you, and it's declared in storytelling, but I've never heard it declared in stand-up, which is if you bring people to a dark place, it's your responsibility as a storyteller to get them out of there. You can't leave them there. You can't talk about death and go, good night.
Yeah. There's got to be some happy ending.
So I feel a responsibility now in this podcast.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Well, okay. Well, this is what I usually ask everybody. Then we'll do something like that. Damn.
Oh shit.
First of all, was there any last thing though? Did it have a smell there?
Yeah, the smell was you get really used really quickly to the smell, the comfortable smell of body odor.
Oh yeah.
Now, in New York and in Ireland, that is a cultural offence.
Yeah.
That if somebody gets a whiff of your dirty body,
you're like, what the fuck's with this guy? Get him off the train.
He has no manners or respect. But over there, the first day I noticed, I went, oh wow, Jesus, everyone is humming. Everyone is humming here. And then you just get really, it just becomes, this is the way people are supposed to smell. This is the way we smell.
Yeah.
It's not like
I mean, if there's no fucking apples growing, there's definitely not Ricard growing.
it's not like farting in bed where you kind of you can cope with it.
Yeah.
It was more like this is you kind of in a weird way found it very comforting. You know, it was a human smell. You were part of the herd.
Oh.
You got your Western nose and the way it's been protected and over-ponsified. You just that went after a day, and so that's the smell. I remember the wonderful smell of people.
Did you put deodorant on?
I think I did for the first day or two.
Yeah.
And then I just go to...
What's the point?
These are my people.
Yeah.
These are my new people.
That must be freeing. All right, this is what I ask everybody too. If you have any tips for travel in general, and then also like what country's calling you. But do you get any tips? You travel a lot.
I think the main thing is to travel light.
Have a light.
That's the big one, isn't it? To just go light as you possibly can.
I have 2 pairs of jeans all around Southeast Asia until I realized it's been 2 months. I haven't worn one of them, and I just just give it to a fucking thrift store.
Yeah.
To play overpacking, it just sucks. You're just carrying shit
Yeah.
for something you could just buy when you get there.
I think that would be the key. There's a huge thing now.
Right.
I don't think you guys have it over here, but in Ireland now,
School shootings, we have those.
school shootings. No,
Yeah.
we don't have them. No.
Yeah, we have plenty
It's
if you need any.
kids traveling cheaply.
What do you mean?
So once kids hit age about 17 or 18, they're finding all these cheap flights from, like my daughter last week, 22, I don't know, the flight cost her €100 to fly from Dublin to somewhere in Croatia.
Oh, wow.
So they're traveling all the time now because the flights are so cheap. But I think to travel light is the key, really. I think.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, now what's calling you?
I'm a big
to go
fan
back
of.
to or somewhere to go for the first time you've always wanted to go.
Do you know what I'd love to do? And it keeps coming up. There's this kind of tradition in India where once your children are reared, your job is done as an earner and a provider and as the head of the household. So your job is done. Now you have to concentrate on your soul. So wander. Say farewell to everybody. Have an owl cloak and a pair of sandals and a stick for beating bad dogs and wander.
Stick for beating bad dogs, yeah.
And I'm very much in love with the idea of that.
What are you gonna do?
I would love. I'm. It's never going to happen. But can I indulge in the fantasy of it?
Yeah.
I want to walk across America. I want
What?
to walk from Ireland to India.
Tommy Gump?
I want to have a gun instead of a
No,
dog.
I said Tommy Gump. Like,
Tommy Gump.
yeah.
That's what I want to do.
You want to walk across America?
Yeah.
How long would that take?
What is it, about 3,000 miles? About 6 months, maybe. I'd love that.
That would be very cool.
You know, I'd love to walk across. I'd love to walk from Ireland to South Africa.
What?
I'm
I
a.
mean, you can't do that.
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, you get the boat to London, and then you
the train to there.
and once you hit mainland Europe, you're all the way down. You might have to. You'd have to have all the way Syria, Jordan, and it's never going to happen, you know. But that would be
But
my
it's a
dream.
nice fantasy. Just keep walking, just like David Carradine.
Yeah, Kung Fu, totally.
Yeah.
What a dream. We were so influenced by those programs. Bill Bixby.
Yeah.
The
Who's that,
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Don't
Just walked alone. He just walked alone.
Don't make me angry.
Don't, please don't. I'm telling you, it's not gonna be good for anybody.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. That was so. And Kung Fu and what were the other one? They shaped our imagination. But didn't so much buy the whole Michael Landon coming back from heaven to
Yeah.
help people. What was that one called? The Angel or something. He was an angel.
Yeah, he was an angel. Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway. No, it wasn't. It was Touched by Angels. Or is that a?
No, not Stairway. All right, that's
Is
Led
that a court
Zeppelin.
case?
Yeah, Touched by an Yeah. Wait. What was it? Do you know? What was
remember
the
that
fucking
Michael
Michael Landon show?
Where he was, and the guy from the beard, the guy with the beard from Little House on the Prairie, followed him. Heaven, Highway to Heaven.
Highway to Heaven. That's it.
So yeah, walking. You have great walks here. I know you've the Appalachian Trail, and you have there's a great one on the west coast.
It's different though
as
to
well.
walk town to town. That's like a different vibe. Walking town to town and just seeing what adventure hits you.
Yeah, but it's best to do it off road because the roads are dangerous. I'm afraid of dogs as well. I was bitten when I was in Africa as a kid. I remember my dad. So we lived at this place called Benkapufi Avenue in a town called Kabwe. And I remember, so we would have 6 months of good hot weather, and then we'd have 6 months of monsoons. So in the hot weather, you went to school. School started at 6 a.m., finished at 12 because it was too hot to be in school in the afternoon. And then, like all the other white people, you go to the swimming pool for the afternoon, like some kind of scene from an awful movie. And then I remember one day, the monsoons had just started, and I remember my dad coming at the front of the house, and I was down the bottom of the road, and he shouted, "Tom! Tom! The Lone Ranger is on!" He wanted me to come back to the house.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get there as quickly as possible. So I started running through the neighbours' front gardens and hopping over the little fence. And 2 doors down from us, there was these Swedish who owned an Alsatian. And when I ran through their front garden, their Alsatian came after me and attacked me.
Oh no.
So I've been afraid of dogs ever since. So I wouldn't be able to walk from town to town for the fear of walking past dogs. But the trails would be okay, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I guess so. I was in Vietnam in the south, and there's some mountain you could look up into Cambodia. And I was walking down. My cab driver said he'd be back in a few hours, and then he was like, "Oh, let me meet this guy." And so halfway up the mountain, he's on the road, and I see him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, come in, I'll give you a ride." He goes, "What's a stick for?" And I'm like, "Oh." He goes, "You afraid of dogs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm afraid of dogs. They run right at you. I don't know when they're gonna stop." And he just started laughing. But some of them are nice, and some of them are fucking.
I met this guy one time in Dublin. I'm walking down the kind of a slightly well-to-do part of the city, and there's this guy standing with his back against a wall, and he says, he's not homeless or anything, he says, "Can you help me?" And I says, "I'll try." He says, "Could you walk with me just 20 yards down the road?" And I says, "Yeah." I says, "How come?" And he says, "I'm afraid of birds, and that seagull is looking at me." And there was a seagull on the road fucking staring at him.
He's like, "This one is afraid."
So can you imagine that? To be afraid of birds. Like,
Wow.
and he had his back to the building, and he was frozen.
So we couldn't get him from behind.
So the
Should not go to Australia in magpie season when they fucking swoop at you.
oh really? Yeah.
Damn, that's so funny. Did you get him okay?
Of course I did. I said,
I would have walked him halfway there, and I'm like, "Get him!" and then just bolted.
"You're on your own."
He's vulnerable. Dude, I went to my friend's house to watch Cujo when I was little, and then there was a dog in between his. It's a 2-minute walk to my house, and there's a dog in between in a yard, and I walked an hour and a half around, so I didn't have to walk past that thing.
I've been there. I know.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you got attacked, so you're fully afraid of him.
Yeah, totally. And we have 2 dogs now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I was gonna bring my dog here today. I'm glad I did not.
Yeah, but so I don't know what it is. It's not it's real. But I have that exact same thing. I would walk long way around home, walk through fields because there's this bastard of a dog that Joey Gorman owned that would come for me.
They know it. They know if you're upset.
Yeah.
They
And
just,
the stupid thing, people say, "Oh, they know if you're afraid." So not only am I afraid now, I'm paranoid about being afraid.
yeah, and I'm doing it wrong. I'm also feeling like I'm a failure.
Yeah. But we survived.
Anyway, Tommy Tiernan's fucking long-awaited United States United tour is on, starting right.
It's October, I think we start in Toronto. That's still in America, isn't it? And then we go East Coast, West Coast.
It starts end of okay. Boston, the Wilbur Rules, bro. You're gonna love that. Town Hall. Oh, I got a concert that night. All right, go. I'm going to see fucking Cyndi Lauper for the first time. She's at MSG that night. You're at Town Hall.
Now, tell me about that.
Cyndi Lauper?
Yeah.
She's a musician.
No, I know, but what's the...
I've never seen. I'm trying to cross these people off my list that I loved when I was little. That I went to see The Cure last year, Dolly Parton last year. I'm just trying to get these people before
that
they
you
go.
loved when you were a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, slow dancing to True Colors.
Oh my god.
You know, like this with a girl in fourth grade. Yeah.
Shining through.
The Vic Rules. Oh, you got some great fucking venues. Minneapolis, Calgary. Where you got? I don't know that one. The Vogue in Vancouver is great. The Aladdin. I was just talking about how cool the Aladdin is in Portland. The Neptune. Hell yeah, man.
It's a nice tour, isn't it?
Palace of Fine Arts was one of the favorite shows I've ever done.
Yeah.
You're doing 2 days there.
Yeah.
Bro, you got to walk around. It's so pretty. It was in Vertigo, like that. All the stuff in Vertigo was out in front of the Palace of Fine Arts. You got to walk around there. Well, let me know if when you're back in New York, if you want to go like take a schwitz or something.
Take a what?
A schwitz.
What's that?
It's a Jewish tradition of going to sweat in a sauna.
Oh, I went to a Russian one. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The self-loathing was.
Oh yeah. You're like, there's no sun, but
Everywhere.
I feel like there's sun. So my Irish is.
Oh, it's fantastic. A Russian bathhouse. It must, and just where you sit on the steps of the dungeon and you sweat, and then there's a bucket of cold water that you put. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's a slight reprieve, and then back to just like raising your body temperature.
Oh wow. That would be a pleasure.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
Okay. Well, buddy, thank you. I appreciate it.
Ari, so glad you took the time out to listen to me. Thank you.
No, O'Brien's always sending me like, or all these people are like, how would you feel about this guy? I'm like, I don't know. And then he's like, Tiernan. I'm like, oh, yes. I will clear my schedule
Well,
for
thank
sure.
you. Thank you. We gigged together years ago, either in Montreal or New York or someplace, but I remember we did stuff together way back.
No, I remember going to see, I was telling somebody about crowd work comedy or something, and I was like, in the Toronto festival, I went to go see this big English comic, and I got a shuttle. You went on it too. This guy, I'm not gonna say who, but he just did crowd work the whole time. And we were sitting next to each other in the back of like the comedy bar or something in Toronto. And you were like, how'd you like it? I was like, yeah, all right. He was just fucking crowd work though. I wanted to see his act. I'm like, I wanted to see his fucking act. He didn't even do his act.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right, this guy gets it. Yeah. Anyway, all right, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
Well, that's it, everybody. That's the episode, and what a good one. What a good one. And what a good time to be alive as a New York Yankee fan. At this point, we should know already if it's a Subway Series. Obviously, the Yankees are in it. It's our year. No doubt about that. I'm rooting for the Mets. I'm rooting for the Mets because I want to see the city come alive. And I don't mind Mets fans, and I don't mind the Mets. Good 3 wins in the World Series. I'm rooting for you guys. Get your 3 wins. But everybody else, it's about Judge Goosh. Aaron Goosh. That's the episode. Don't forget to check out Tommy Tiernan on the road. He's in America right now. Toronto, the Americas. Toronto, Philadelphia, Boston, New York. That's sold out in November. We got Chicago, Minneapolis, Calgary, Victoria, Vancouver, Seattle, Irvine, Los Angeles, San Jose, and finishing up at San Francisco at the Palace of Fine Arts, which was my favorite show of last tour. What a fucking glorious time there. San Francisco, you're coming back. I know. Tech went in there, changed who your city was. They abandoned you and left you for dead. But I believe in San Francisco, and I believe it's coming back. Now that all the tech bros are gone, fashion, style, class can regroup into San Francisco, and it can become the city it once was. An American city, an amazing place, an amazing bar hopping city. San Francisco will be back. I believe in it. Don't believe the hype. It's going through a rebuilding. Sure. So did the Rangers a few years ago, and now they're in the title hunt. San Francisco will be in the title hunt for best cities in America in just 10 years. That's my prediction. Don't give up on it. Buy real estate. Go to tommytiernan.ie for all his tickets. He's doing a residency in, he's going all through Ireland, December, January, February. Killarney, Galway, Castlebar, Dublin. He's doing a whole residency in Dublin. Galway, Louth, Athlone, Belfast, Limerick, and Derry. Official Tom Medium on Instagram. Today's podcast was produced by Your Mom's House Network. It was edited by Alan Caffey and the boys over there. Chad and Chris helped as well. They rule. This podcast rules. Please subscribe. I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers, which I thought was unreachable in the first year of a new YouTube account, and I'm at over 95,000, so I'm right there. Will this be the episode? Next week's episode, Russell Peters, who is on the Mount Rushmore of traveling comedians. I'll tell you who they are as I see it now. Russell Peters, for sure. Jim Gaffigan for sure. Please, Jim, I got to get you on this podcast. It's incomplete without you. Without you and Russell. Now Russell's doing it. Now it's you, buddy. Me, but I've been on the podcast before. Who else is a great traveler comedian? You got to be a good comic, too. I mean, Gio's up there, and he's coming on. But you don't know him. So can you put him on the Mount Rushmore if you don't really know his stand-up? He's a great stand-up, but you don't know him like you know Gaffigan or Russell. Not Rogan. It's me. Those are three. How many people on Mount Rushmore? I guess you don't have to follow those rules. You can carve your own mountain. Tom Rhodes. Sorry. Probably the greatest. Tom Rhodes. And he's got to come in too. So this podcast is incomplete without Tom Rhodes, Gaffigan, and Russell Peters will be next week. Guys, my on sale for my tour, the final tour I'm doing for 2 years. It's pretty much just January, February, March. A couple gigs in December. I've got Austin, which is already sold out. And Lake Tahoe on December 21st at Bally's Casino in Tahoe, Nevada. And then I'll go in order. Pittsburgh. Let's see if I know the whole thing. Oh, that's off. Pittsburgh, Salt Lake City. These are all December ones. Providence, I believe. I don't know. I'll go in alphabetical. Well, here's the theaters. Atlanta, the Tabernacle. That's at the end of March. Then Portland, that same weekend. Big theater. These are the theaters. Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton. I don't know if it's up or down. That's the first weekend of April. And then I'm done. I got Anchorage, Alaska in June, and that'll start me off on my sabbatical. You won't see me for a while. This podcast will keep going. Don't worry about that. It's going strong. The whole dates all available at arishafir.com right now. Anchorage, Atlanta, Austin, sold out. Brea, ooh, that's a big one. Calgary, Schaumburg. Denver, that's a best of week in Denver. Edmonton, Fort Lauderdale, Nashville, Orlando, Pittsburgh, Portland, Providence, Salt Lake City, San Antonio, San Jose, Seattle, Tahoe, Tampa, and Vancouver. And then I'm gone. You won't see me. So if I'm going to be nearby, you go ahead and want to get a ticket. There will be no cities added. There will be no cities added. It's possible I might do one more gig in Austin, but that city's already on there. The farewell tour for Ari Shaffir. You're going to miss me when I'm gone. You're going to miss me when I'm gone. That's it. Please subscribe. Don't forget to sign up for the Patreon. Patreon.com /You Be Trippin. I've decided to do something new. I'm going to bring in some other people. Column is going to help me. Hopefully Sagalo, hopefully Canada. We'll see some other people. The one-on-one alone is not quite there, but I am still reading out your postcards on air. Regardless if it's me or with somebody. I'll still do plenty alone. But we'll read them together. Just something to riff off. And that's it. 3 a week, 3 a month, every month. I got nothing else to say. Oh, I do have one recommendation before we go. New specials out by Sam Tripoli, Ryan Long, Paul Verzi. Go check those out. But what you really want to check out is a new album by Billy Strings. Oh, it felt fucking good. I forgot the name of it already. It's so fucking good. It's perfect, dude. It's perfect. It's exactly what you want from a Billy Strings album. Billy Strings, artist. Highway Prayers. God damn, it's good. I'll tell you my favorite tracks. First of all, I've never heard someone play the bong as a musical instrument before. That's a first. That's a first. Where was it this whole time? Playing the bong as a musical instrument. It's party music. It's weed music. It's fucking woods music. Tell you what, they're going to be a cabin song will be an anthem for people going to the woods. That's my prediction. Be Your Man is a great one. Leadfoot, obviously. Leadfoot. Richard Petty's a great one. Let me see what else. I think the one right before cabin song. I think Stratosphere Blues. Anyway, guys, it's great. Go out and listen right now. You can go to Spotify if you want. If you have the album, if you find it, the vinyl, send it to me, along with all your postcards and your money of any place we've been. Send me your money, or any place we probably will go. Please mark it. The guy who gave me a stack of bills, I went through them before I read your note saying that they were stacked in order. So I'll be looking those up. But I got a few new ones. I need a Somalia. I need for next week, Russell Peters is on talking about Lebanon. If anybody has any Lebanese money, please send it to 151 First Avenue, number 49, New York, New York, 10003. The deal is the postal box is about that thin. So if it can fit in that thin, it'll get in there. If not, they do return to senders. But that thin is any letter, definitely any postcard. Go on the road. For whatever you're traveling, I want to live vicariously through you the way the listeners do to the guests on this episode. Like Tommy Tiernan, not all of us can go to Somalia on an aid trip. By the way, Ireland, do your part, bro. Do your fucking part. Do what you pledged. That's it. Let's go, Yanks. Next time I do this podcast with Russell Peters from Studio West, will the Yankees be World Series champions? My last fucking season in New York. Root with me. Root with me. Don't root against me. Root with me. It's a dream. I've been here for 10, 12 years. They've never gone this far. They didn't even make the playoffs last year. I'm going to every single home game. I'm going broke doing it. Please sign up for my Patreon, patreon.com/You Be Trippin. I'm literally going broke. It's costing me way more than I have. Anyway, that's it. Please get tickets for my tour right now. Anchorage, Atlanta, Austin, Brea, Calgary, Chicago, Denver, Edmonton, Dania, Nashville, Orlando, Pittsburgh, Portland, Providence, Salt Lake City, San Antonio, San Jose, Seattle, Tahoe, Tampa, Vancouver. I'll see you later. Till next week. Goodbye. How do you say goodbye in Somalian? I don't know. I'm going to have to start looking these up ahead of time. Bye, everybody. Yes! How about the video? All right. Good. It's our year. Good.